If I were a song, I'd be like the leaves. I'd change all the time, all the time. If I were a song, I'd be heavier. I'd find light, and every rest would express the expanse inside. If I were a song, I'd be like a tree, always connected to my roots, but always stretching out my space. And I change all the time, all the time. I leave with my heart, I leave behind my mind. And of course, as a song I could go on and on and on. Uncover every emotion.
iNFiNiEN is a really interesting rock band out of the Philadelphia area, and I am really delighted that they're here with me because it's all I've been able to listen to in the last couple weeks. So thank you guys for joining us today, and I'm really excited to introduce your music to our audience.
Of course, we're happy to be
Thanks
here.
for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, of course. So could you guys introduce yourselves and, names and what you play? And I'm most curious about your creative process because your songs are so interesting and they blend so many different styles, and I really want to hear about your creative process for your songwriting.
Cool. I'm Chrissy, and I play keyboard and sing.
And I'm Matt, and I play guitar.
I'm Tom. I play drums and percussion.
I'm Jordan. I play bass and sing some background vocals.
Cool. So your creative process, who wants to start?
Ooh.
I think
Well, it started with a big bang, really.
Well, I guess, the main thing to understand about the band is we're all coming from different areas of music, stylistically. And we started out the band as just an outlet for jamming and exploring with no agenda of making a band, really. We just liked exploring music together, and it was fun for us to have an interaction with, just speaking for myself, I was thrilled to play with them because it was such a different thing than what I was doing at the time, which was more metal stuff. So I got to play all this clean, jazzy guitar style, and that was just a totally fresh thing for me at the time. And then I think collectively we got into a lot of the genre-busting music, in the beginning. Obviously we share a love of Mr. Bungle. I think that's pretty obvious to certain people that like Mr. Bungle. California is one of our all-time favorite records. It's not directly an influence. We're not trying to recreate Mr. Bungle, but just the spirit of adventurousness, free exploration, boundary smashing, off the wall. We love everything about the way they approach it. Got into John Zorn and Secret Chiefs 3, and then I guess we that world has a little bit of a quirkiness that we maybe wanted to smooth the edge of. So we like having the soulful vocals and the deep harmony of sort of more conventional styles of music, or maybe not more conventional, but more soulful kinds of music. So obviously we love Esperanza Spalding, Hiatus Coyote, Motar. And so those bands are kind of in their own world compared to Bungle and Secret Chiefs. And so I guess we're coming from all over the map, and we don't like any filler or redundancy in our songs. So by the time we're all happy, they're just this mishmash of different stuff that's very adventurous to listen to and kind of engulfs you in the sound. And I think we're just going for an immersive vibe with what we're doing. I know that was a long answer, but that's a big question, so just bear with me.
I would agree. I think our main objective is to sort of fuse all different influences to where, we love so many different types of music, and like Matt's saying, like we're inspired by like Miles Davis, Weather Report, and like Mr. Bungle, John Zorn, Candiria, stuff, and when we create, I mean, a lot of it like. So that's like the concept, but like the working process is probably like Matt writes material, Chrissy writes material, and then we kind of write a song as a band based on those blueprints.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
So if you listen close, you can tell the two different writing styles, like like Steely Dan or.
Steely Dan.
Hall & Oates.
We don't sound like Steely Dan or Hall & Oates.
Right, but
just so everybody knows.
if you
We don't
listen
sound
close
like
enough, you can start to figure out who sparked the original thought for the tune.
Right, and then there's other tunes we all write together, everyone equally, and all three modes kind of have different results, so the albums just end up being all over the place.
I wrote one song. So.
Which one?
Brand New.
The first
Oh, nice.
The first track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's
based
a great
on a
song.
rhythm Tom came up with, and we all worked it out together in the room. That didn't come from anybody. It was all working together. So certain songs, that happens. Other songs, Chrissy brings the whole thing, and it's like perfect chord progression, and we just orchestrate it together.
Yeah.
So there's no song that's like complete that's being brought in. It's like it's at a certain point, and we build it together.
Yeah, I can see that. I'd say it's usually the process is just however we're going to express it, being the most honest with what we're currently feeling or what we're influenced by. So that's kind of why I think it sounds like there's a lot of different influences, just because like every day is a different influence, and every day we're listening to different types of music. There was a period where we were really getting into Indian music together, and then where we found out about Ethiopian music, oh shit, and then everything just kind of builds on itself. So it's just honest expression. I think that's the best.
We move really fast. We're always telling each other about new music that we discover. And I think so. Being inspired and influenced by the most creative, newest, weirdest music, it keeps us on a roll.
Yeah. As far as my view of the process for us, it's like we've said that there's a lot of writing comes from Chrissy, a lot of writing comes from Matt. Basically, a lot of the divide, I think, or the separation is Matt tends to bring in more technically written instrumental lines.
Yeah,
sometimes some really active chord progressions. Chrissy, more often than not, will bring in a more chord progression and melody with some lyrics already written, and things like that. There's been a couple of songs where I've contributed a section to like one of Chrissy's songs, or I've contributed a section to a song that we were sort of all working on together. I feel that my role in the process is really more of like an arranging kind of role, and sort of like more like, all right, well, here's all these ideas, they're all awesome, let's put them all together, let's see what needs to maybe like change to fit the other things that are happening around it,
Or a cool chord progression, like the end of
I've written some
bottom
sections.
of the food chain. The ending is all.
Yeah, that's on the new
an
record.
amazing chord progression.
Yeah.
It's coming from everyone, It's ultimately everyone has something new that came completely from them.
Yeah.
And the third record, especially, everyone has a voice on that, and I think that's why it's all over the place. But it's thematic because we play in a certain way together, so the songs kind of have this thing that binds them together.
Yeah, on the third record, if you look at the inside of it, it does break it down pretty cleanly as far as like who wrote what, but also. What's interesting about the song that Tom brought in the basis for that actually credits all of us, including the original bass player, because it's like a really old song. That song's called That's Brand New. It's the first song on our newest record. So that one actually credits Justin Carney, who's the original bassist, and also did some writing, in the early stages of the band as well.
And Justin did too have the initial concept, which was cool, because I remember he phoned me one time. I had been playing in a really obscure grindcore band called Heinous Anus. It was a great band, legendary band.
They were really great.
They're worth talking about.
And when
They're very good.
Me and Matt collided in the metal world because his band, Cleric, at the time was doing insane shit, and so that was cool. But
they still are doing really insane stuff.
I guess
Cleric is awesome.
I had broken up with that band, and I was just distraught. I was fucked up, it was a bad period of my life. So I started rapping and making beats. I wasn't playing music. And Justin called me and said, yeah, what if we, because I was also going to jazz school to learn about jazz and harmony. And I thought all the advanced harmony was really dope, So like, he was like, what if we, do like a really low, something with a lot of power, heavy funk, metal almost, heavy funk metal, and then just christen it with this nice keyboards, jazz harmony, female vocals. And I was like, let's do it. So I packed up my cardboard box and I went straight to Philadelphia. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say,
everything except the cardboard part.
I know, and I think that's pretty awesome.
This was years ago, but yeah, Justin Carney, man,
Yeah, Justin Carney deserves a lot of credit because he kind of was, I didn't understand any of these chords. He wanted to use these 5 and 6 note, deep chords and use polyrhythm, and he's like, oh, the whole thing will just be like swirling, man. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. But I didn't know anything about that. I didn't go to jazz school, so he taught me all that stuff and kind of formed the language. And then through jamming, we all were exploring it together. But I don't feel like I was just felt like I was along for the ride. I didn't come up with the idea because I didn't know anything about jazz when I was 19. Nothing. I just played metal. That's it.
I think we're making a lot of assumptions of the listener. So can you tell us a little bit about your band's history and how many releases you have and what brought you together and what you're up to now?
Sure. We've released 3. We have 3 releases. One is an EP. The original is How to Accept. Then the first record that I was involved with is the self-titled full-length album. Is our first full-length album.
And the year, I guess.
Huh?
The year?
Oh, that was 2009.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, the original EP came out in 2006. The self-titled album is 2009. And then we just put out our follow-up to that is a full-length record called Light at the Endless Tunnel that came out last year. Or, earlier in 2017.
And in between those albums, we played all the damn time. It was between the first 2 records, we played all the time throughout Philly. Basements, World Cafe, jazz cafes, metal gigs. We were trying. It was tough for us because we were doing something that was totally different. Yet somehow we were able in our networking to connect with bands that were partially like us. We're so alienated, yet somehow we were able to connect with all these bands. But when we weren't in the studio dropping albums, we were out on the road. We did 3 tours down. We went to Midwest, down south. We did 3 tours. We covered a lot of ground. We never got to go out west, but yeah, man. We got tapes of us playing all this stuff live that we're hoping to release, but. Yeah, we just stayed busy. I mean, we constantly, at band's history too, man, we were always playing. We were real stern on rehearsing all the time. A couple times a week, gigging as many, all the time.
Is love for yourself. And as you heal, so will everyone else. Unload all your shots on me and get a move on.
we met so originally with the bass player. That was 2004, and we three of us were roommates. The bass player, Matt, and I were roommates with like 8 other people, and so there was always music going on of some sort. It usually was like hip hop because there's a lot of people at that time. It was in college. A lot of people wanted to rap, But what happened is we just realized we were all in different bands, and so let's just make music together. And then I think the core, the 3 of us, realized we were kind of finding a voice that we hadn't found in our other projects. So we just called Tom in and took it and just started experimenting, and sometimes with substances and and each other, and just realizing that was a lot of fun, And then we started playing gigs as they came up, but mostly just playing and writing, and just kind of having fun and being wild and allowing ourselves to be wild. And then Justin wound up moving to LA, and he told us, "Get Jordan. This guy's right on your level." So
it's like Justin not only kind of helped them to stay together when they were first starting, as Tom was mentioning, his last contribution was to recommend me, which seems to have worked out pretty well. At least speaking personally, I'm still thrilled after all these years. It's and I knew Justin through school. We were actually schoolmates studying basically on the same track of Temple University's jazz studies program. We were both upright bass players at the school.
And I was there too, so we were all in the same music school.
Yeah, Christy was at Temple as well,
made
and so
sense
was Tom.
That we would have.
Matt was at Temple for a week.
Yeah, basically.
But that's a different story.
But that's where I met him, and we kind of opened each other's eyes to different types of music, and we realized we were kind of both geeks in the same way.
Yeah, meeting Christy was way better education than the actual teachers there.
So it sounds like you guys have a mission of blending as much music as possible. And that's, to me, very evident on the 3rd album. Because one song, Oasis, I don't know who wrote that song, but it's a work of genius.
Genius.
Thank you.
That's an incredible piece of music. And then like 2 or 3 tracks later, it's like all of California from Mr. Bungle without any of the cartoony
sounds.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was saying. We like kind of smooth the quirkiness a little bit. It's more like beautiful than like quirky and off-putting.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's another song where Chrissy is singing like Indian melodies with a very fast stepping between notes.
Yeah. What that song was really influenced by that. That Consider the Source band.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah, we toured with them our first tour, and me and Gabe go all the way back, and he just tell me about scales, and so that song is just based on this one Indian scale that's like their version of pentatonic, and the whole song is that scale. So it's kind of like our version of a raga or something, mixed with Philip Glass or something, like totally not related to that, But that was totally influenced by Consider the Source. I mean,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and you kind of hear their influence in Aya a little bit in moments. We play more chords than they do, so that would be the biggest difference. But yeah, we really like them.
Yeah.
What's next for you guys? Tom, I think, mentioned that you're in the studio. So what's going on?
We're just demoing new tracks that we made, but we don't have concrete plans as of now, but we have another record written, so we're just in the process of figuring out what to do.
Yeah, if anyone's been paying attention to the videos we've been releasing online, some of them have the full show of the last couple of shows that we played, and there are some songs that are not released on the third record, sort of implying that there is more to come.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's always a good time.
So I mentioned earlier I took my daughter to Costco today, and we were listening to your album. And I said, what did you think of that? And she said, it was weird, which I think is perfect. But I want to know, like, as a band that is really focused on new and different and mishmash, you know, these are all terms I've heard many times so far. How are you reaching audiences, and how are they receiving what you're putting together?
I think since the third record, we've been amazingly well received. We went down to North Carolina in September and played Prague Day, and we sold out of all our CDs. We made a ton of money in merch. Everyone rushed us after we were done. People talked about us on the message board. The word got out more. So that was kind of one of the biggest, like, hitting the target moments we've had booking wise. And all the reviews have been incredible. So the word's getting out there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just us. We're strictly DIY. We don't have a promotion team. We didn't hire PR. Nope, we don't have a booking agent. It's just us. And considering that, the album is standing on its own pretty well. I got a message from Italy the other day. This guy who's just obsessed with it. He's trying to get us over there. You know, and so I don't like push us over there. It's just getting around. So I guess that's, in the age of the internet and this sort of bleak musical economic environment, that for a band like us, that's a very good sign. It's a reason to be optimistic about the future. You know, we're not making a lot of money, but our goals were artistic, not commercial, and I think we're all satisfied in that way. And I think that's what the band's about. It's not about what's working right now in the industry, what's selling right now, how many likes and followers do we have? No, it's about the record. It's about the substance, you know, and I think that's what I think we're bringing that's countering a lot of what's going on.
Well, okay, so I'll answer this with two answers. You know, it's difficult for us to obtain mass appeal. We got to understand that from the jump. You know, but there are millions of people that like weird music. You know, if we will. And so first thing we did when we dropped the album is we started contacting as many people as we could to get reviews, and the reviews were outstanding. Like we couldn't. I mean, people were just saying the most amazing stuff, and it's almost like.
We're humbled.
Yeah,
yeah,
really. You know, because we played last week, and you know, someone came up to me and they're like, "Yo, you're my favorite band," you know, and I was like, "This is my favorite band," you know, like I couldn't lie. I was like, when I go to sleep, I think of music that's dope and cool. Like this is what I imagine.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, it's been very well received in the right to the right people. You know what I mean?
And
mass appeal, no, but the people who do like this type of music love it. So
Yeah.
it's been a great year.
Yeah. So far, I mean, we've been, you know, the internet's been really nice to connect us, and you know, we've been getting a little bit more word of mouth spreading this year, and you know, it's been fun. It's been nice to see that, you know, we can put an album out and people are actually reacting to it. It's not just like, oh, there's another album up on Bandcamp that, you know.
Yeah, it
it's
seems
stuff
like
that, you know, it's
are...
like everybody does that, and it's important to do that because you got to make your stuff available however you can. But you know, it's nice to see that people are actually checking it out. You know?
Yeah, it's nice to not be ignored because there's so much out there. Most stuff does get ignored, but I feel that the people that are connecting with what we're doing, it really means something to them. And I guess for me personally, the low to the ground approach is better in the long run, because 5 to 10 years from now, you'll still have those people. Whereas if you just make a catchy song and 1 million people get into it for 2 months and then they leave, what did you really build there? I mean, it just seems like let's go on the roller coaster and get off. I would want something more permanent than that. And so I like to think that we've attained that. I don't really know, but...
Yeah, I would classify your music as art, and that's what I'm after. You know, true artists who use music as their form of expression. So it's funny, Tom wrote to me months ago. I don't remember, I think you just said, hey, here's my stuff. And I get a lot of those kinds of emails, but when I heard Oasis, I was like, I got to check this out later. And then when I listened with real intention, I was like, oh my goodness, these guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's going on in 2018 for you, and where can people find out more?
Well, we're on Facebook, we're on Bandcamp, we're exploring
Instagram
booking
as well.
options right now. I mean, we're demoing new stuff. There'll be a new release sometime
In the future.
We're
working on it.
When it's ready.
Right,
Yeah.
when it's ready is the key there. Not committing to anything.
But way
time-wise.
sooner than the other.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
won't
was a
take
bit of a
8 years.
gap between the self-titled album and The Light at the Endless Tunnel.
Right, we had a little bit of-
unfortunately, but
Right.
yeah, no, that's definitely not going to be the case this time. We can say that for sure. We can also say, I mean, like, the 4 of us are very committed to making this record better than the one that we just put out.
Yeah, that's very important.
We had the same mentality when we made Light at the Endless Tunnel, which was like, you know, we put our heart and soul into the iNFiNiEN record, which is why we had to call it that. Like, we couldn't come up with a title because it was just like, well, this is like everything we are. So that's why that record is self-titled. But sorry, a little bit of a digression there. But yeah, you know, when we made the 3rd one, it was like, it has to sound better. We have to do this. We have to do that. And that totally fueled us. I mean, we put together an orchestra. Like, I you know, that was just like, that was a weird dream that just turned into a reality. All of a sudden we were standing, there's a video of us online, you know, recording next to 2 enormous orchestra-sized harps.
Yeah, and there's
You
like
know what I
4
mean?
harps
It's like,
on that track.
That's
like,
real. Those aren't fake instruments.
That's a total mission
you know,
accomplished.
That was a
you know,
beautiful-
that's also on the in the credits. You can see the list of orchestral players. I was lucky enough to play upright bass on that too. Saved us a little bit of bread. But anyway, yeah. So you know, we're very committed to making a new release that is even better than the 3rd one, which we're pretty happy with, all things considering. You know, we can rest easy knowing that we made a really solid album. You know, or at least I can. I don't know if you guys sleeping alright.
This next album is so. Like I said, these guys are my favorite band, and like this next album is just so good. I don't even know what to say. I'm excited. Very excited.
There's no album
So
yet.
check
though.
for that.
So
Maybe
it's
this
gonna
year,
be the
maybe not. I don't know.
I feel really, I feel like one of the reasons why people who like it really like it is because we've always been honest with ourselves. And I think that maybe it's not like gonna be popular, but it's our truth, and like the truth is undeniable. So when you're honest with the way you need to express it, then it's somebody somewhere who gets it is gonna get it.
That's true.
And so I feel like we can always be proud of what we've done, because it was always like what we were doing honestly.
Yeah, we never did anything we didn't want to do to get more people into the band, ever. Everything was based on curiosity, exploration, innocence. You know, none of us are innocent, but you know what I mean.
And I also feel like what I like so much about what we found is that it's a mix between chaos and beauty.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the whole universe. So that's why, maybe that's what weird music is it's not just beautiful, or it's not just chaotic, but it's the blend.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It kind of captures you in all of your facets, you know, all of.
For anyone who's new to you guys, what's the best way to find out about you, you know, find out more, and what's the best way to support you?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, and all the recorded music is available to check out on Bandcamp and all of the other streaming services, Spotify, Google Play Music, Apple Music, Amazon. I believe it's available. You know, a friend of ours has a joke that, you know, like they should have a T-shirt that says "Sorry, I missed your gig." And there's another T-shirt that says, "My music is highly available." It's just, anyway, but yeah, Facebook. That's probably between Facebook and Instagram is probably the best way to keep in touch as far as that goes. But I've always said this to anybody who's been interested in the band: shoot us an email. It's thebandsname@gmail.com. We like
we like hearing from people and
reaching out to us. It's really nice.
And it's a core group of people right now, so it's very community-esque, and don't feel like we're on an ivory tower. Like, we love hearing from fans.
Cool.
Yeah, and if you go to Bandcamp, you can find our whole collection. You can get it CDs. We also have T-shirts. And there's some biography and some stuff. And if you want to see us, YouTube, we're building our content this year. So expect more videos coming.
Yeah. We actually just put out, you keep mentioning Oasis. There is a pretty good, really good capture of that song that we just released on YouTube through a company called Sun Sessions.
I saw it. It's all solar powered.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It is really cool. And
Sure, we could stay here and argue all day till I let you in, or you let me in. But I'm growing old and the walls are growing mold. I think we need some air. I could run, but where? Not so used to letting go about you, but listen to learn or so I've heard. I was looking for oh well, it was worth a try. Crawling through your desert, heavy as lead, searching for my oasis, run out of hiding places, somehow survive the sensor in your mind. And I try to brush it off, but enough is enough. 'Cause you finally know I'll find peace and mind all this space, all this time. Let you ride through the open sky, and it was worth a try. I hope you learn someday to choose love over pride. It's goodbye. Goodbye. You won't be long till I find what feels like home when first we first. Tomorrow I'll be quenching my thirst, and soon I'll know what space is within our oasis.
So cool.
it is really cool. And we had just happened to be, it was like the last hot day of last year. It was like it was already starting to be like a cold fall, and then it was like this one day of like abundant sunshine, and it's like, geez, almost 80 degrees out. Like, it was kind of weird. So now we're releasing in winter these like sunny videos, but yeah, that's a good capture of that. And we do, if you like that, there's probably the little bird told me there's another one of those videos going to be coming out very soon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your
Thank you
time.
so
I
much.
really appreciate it.
Thank you. We had a
Thank
great
you so
time.
much. I was going to say the best way to support us is what you're doing.
Yep.
You're spreading the word, and you listen. Thank you.
And
Awesome.
and
Yeah,
keep
guys,
making weird
hit us
music.
up on Skype.
right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
iNFiNiEN is a band that we all believe in so dearly. We put so much energy into it, and we just love that it is contagious, and it seems to be anyway. So we just want to keep spreading it.
If you were a song I'd sing you all day long, I play it to my heart, then I would never stop. Your melody would be so sweet and simple. Your melody would put me right at ease. All that attention I feel to somehow releases. Your melody turns one to peace. If you were a song, you'd move me like the wind. Sweep me off to places I